About 7 years ago, I'm sitting in an audience much like you are right now. And a speaker asks a question, and it seeps down into who I am. I'm going to ask the same question. I want you to open your hearts and your mind and let it kind of sink down in also. Perhaps maybe you already have an answer to this question. Great. Think about living your life in accordance with your answer. What I found is that many people don't know the answer to this question, much like when I heard it the first time. The speaker said, "What is your purpose?" He said it again, "What is your purpose?" And inside, I couldn't answer. And I really went to work on it, where it went right in here. I want to share a true story with you to illustrate this. It was about 3 years ago. I'm at an event, and as simple as a woman ordering a diet soda, it's not what she ordered, it was what she said after she ordered it that caught my interest. She said, I can never stop drinking diet soda. Her husband comes over and confirms this and says, yep, I've tried to help her. She's no hope. A lot of words of encouragement there, right? She proceeds to tell me all the reasons why she can't stop. Tastes good, goes with every meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. As caffeine gets me going, and on and on. And I said, yep, you're trapped. Because you think that you can never quit drinking diet soda, you won't. I said, you know what, though? If you think differently about this, there might be some hope. Let's take, for example, iced tea. Do you like iced tea? And she goes, I love iced tea. I said, all right, we might be onto something here. I go, do you have the ability right now to order an iced tea instead? And she says, certainly, I've done it before. I said, well, hurry up because the waiter's coming back. She turns and she says, I'd like to add an iced tea to my life instead. Waiter brings it back, takes a sip. I said, what just happened? She looks at me and says, I'm drinking iced tea. I said, no, because you added iced tea, there's no more room for diet soda. So let's break this down further. I said, you said you can never quit drinking diet soda. The word quit, how do you feel when you move to quit something in your life that you want? And she says, I feel a sense of loss, definitely deprived and not a good feeling. I said, let's do the inverse here. If you add something to your life that you want, how do you feel? She says, I feel joy, fulfilled. I said, okay. I said, let's look into this further. I said, you know what? I believe her mind is like an internet search engine. If you were to type in, don't find diet soda, images of diet soda would pop up, even though you told it not to look for it. I said that this is the obvious, it's true. If you look for iced tea, which is images. I said, if you start to think differently here and you focus on adding iced tea to your life and you have a positive association with it, the behavior is likely to change. And she goes, why are you even talking like this? And I said, you see, 7 years ago, there was a speaker that asked me a question of what my purpose was. And she goes, what's your purpose? I said, it's to add value by helping other people think differently. And she goes, like adding iced tea? I go, yeah. It's not really about what you're drinking. It's the fact that you said you're trapped in your mind. And if I could get in here and have you change your mindset about something, there was a likelihood of changing your behavior. This is a true story. And I check every so often to make sure that she's never had a diet soda. Because she hasn't. She stopped right there. And so this question that seeped down inside me about 7 years ago really started to come out in just common conversation. I think of it in terms of time now. There's a young man, and he's loaded with talent, and everyone believes he can change the world. And so in his 20s, he seeks to do so. His focus is changing the world. 10 years go by. He goes, I'm not having much success. I'm going to narrow my focus. I'm going to change my country. 10 more years go by. He says, no, I need to narrow it some more. I'm going to go to my state. 10 more years go by. His city. 10 more. His neighborhood watch. Into his 70s, he looks back to his life and he goes, I've missed the point. I missed reflecting inward. I missed changing myself. I missed answering the question of purpose for who I am. See, if I would have answered that question With purpose, I would have been like many other people that I've seen that have added value because they would have lived their why. It would have clarified the way in which to conduct themselves. And he was lost at the end. He realized the way in which he went about, whether it was to change the world or what it is we drink, it was rooted in his purpose. So don't let this time go by. Let this question sink into you like it did me. And if you've got the answer to this already, then go live accordingly to it. Think of it in regards to what we've all seen. There's been a pond of still and calm water, and a rock is thrown in, and there's a ripple. Think of yourself as the rock, but be intentional with a purpose and where you're headed, because you affect many other people as soon as you leave this room. If you know your purpose, you can clarify where it is that you're going to cast that stone and what ripple and effect that you're going to have. So the challenge is simple. Think about this. Purpose. And may your life be fulfilled. Thank you.